Okay, so is this visible to all?
Yes.
Okay, so this is basically the UI for the success factor which we are having as of now. Each and everything we have like in the system, but we will explain one by one in the every session of the success factor training. Firstly, what I have explained you, I will explain you that is from the system perspective. That is, just give me a second. Okay, what we are having in the org structure. Okay, that I told you in the first call. So this is the company structure overview, and this is the position of chart and off chart. I'll explain you firstly that is what is off chart. That is what we are having in the off chart. That is as like the business unit and legal entity, and that is the org structure, pay structure, job structure, which we are having as of now. We can have the data all here in this UI on this UI. So the main thing which every company in the implementation needs to have, that is the company structure and position of chart. If I'll tell you the things like for the implementation perspective, that if you are implementing any of the project in the coming like of your project, or once you will have the success factor job, so that position of chart and the company structure, if you finalize this thing in the company itself, like in the first go, so I think you have solved the, I think the much more important topic or the vast topic in the company, because in this topic, in the company structure overview, everybody got stuck because they are having different hierarchies, they are different structures in their company, and how you are migrating from that system to here, that is very different. So that has to be very like precise, and that has to be very elaborated like from their side, and from our side that is very precise. Like in this way we can migrating your legacy system into your current system of success factor. So in the company structure you can see here that these like are some of my students have built up that these structures. So if we'll talk about the Adani company structure, that is just an example for that. So we are having these things: legal entity, business unit, division, call center, department, and the people. I will explain you after this. Once I'll demoing like from the system, then I'll explain each of the pointers from the PPT itself also. So if you'll talk about the legal entity is on to the top level. Okay, for an example, Adani, just give me a second. Okay, this is the Adani group. So you can see here that Adani group is the basic which I've told you, that is the Reliance. Just take an example. And these are the business units sub under the legal entity, which we are having as of now. This is very simple thing that we can like what we can say the configured in the system, but that totally depends how the things which we have the requirements and how we got the requirement from the client. That is very important to understand firstly. Okay, so under business unit there are divisions. Okay, these are the divisions which we are having. For an example, the enterprise Adani will having the Gujarat project and Adani Mumbai head office. These are the different divisions which we are having. Under division, we are having departments, or we have the cost centers. That totally depends from the customer requirement. So we will have the departments also, or the cost center associations. Okay, under cost center, we will have the department. In this way, they are doing that. So finance and account, they are having the first cost center. The executive office that will have the second cost center, and the third is the information technology. So they are based on the basis of the what we can say job family. They are making the cost centers under which they are associated the departments there. Okay. So this is about the company structure which I explained you. Second is the employee data which we are discussing about. So we have to these are the things which we are having onto the UI in the success factor. These everything will have the different things. So just now I explained you on only the org chart. Now I am explaining you what is from the employee file. Employee file is basically the people profile. What is the profile which we are having as of now, and how like the things uh, we are capturing onto the system that we have explained about the employee data and other things. So this is the basic thing which we need to understand firstly. So this is the personal detail in which we will capture all the things like about the employee, that is the first name, last name, and gender, his marital status, legal entity, cost center. These all things they are capturing here. That totally depends on to the client. Basically, some of the clients will only needs like here. What is that? That is the first name, last name, and the legal entity and the gender here. Okay, some of them requires much more requirements here also. So that is totally depend on to how we are doing the configuration here from the backend. That I will understand, or I will give you the configuration perspective that is in the later sessions. Okay, so basically this is the first thing, that is now we are having the employment details. Okay, so just give me a second. Firstly, this is the main reason, employment details, in which we will capture the hire date, the service date. What is that? The hire date and service date, it means like from which if somebody joined the company, okay, that is on 1st January, okay, and he has terminated or by XYZ reason from his voluntary or non-voluntary reasons. So he left the company on any of the date, okay, and then he again come in the company as a rehire with the new employment or the old employment. That is a different rehire perspective, which I'll explain you. So that person's service date is from the same date, and the new hire date, for let's say he joined on in July and he first joined the company, that is from the January 1st, 2014. So these two dates will give the clarification or give the idea that for how much duration this employee has worked in the company. Okay. The previous employment ID. It means this is very important field for any of the implementation. While you are doing the implementation, for an example, they have the legacy system. For an example, SAP HCM, they are using currently. The client are using currently SAP HCM. Okay. So every employee in the SAP HCM is having the specific employment ID there. Okay. Now we are migrating from that SAP HCM to SuccessFactor. So SuccessFactor will start the employee ID generation, that is from first or maybe the from 1,000 to the 10,000 as per the uh, ID generation number we will assign to the system. Okay, but the requirement is that the implementation client needs the same employment ID that is from the SAP HCM. So we can capture that employment ID also here in the biographical also or in the employment details also. So this is very a good feature which we are having into the success factor, in which we can capture each and everything in the uh, system. So this is about the employment details. Second is the job information. Okay, job information is basically is having everything which I'm going to explain in the PPT, that is on later part. So in which we are having everything. It means like job classification, title. It means like on which position the person is working, what is the title of that job on which he is working, and what is like on how much days he has to work in the company. What is the weekly hours, standard weekly hours. As generic we are having only 40 weekly hours. Okay, we will not have the different but as per the requirement we can make it the custom also, but 40 is the SAP recommended hours which we are using for every client. Employee class, employment type, is the person is full time or the part time, we can make it here. Also the country, these all things we can make here. And this is the time information later part. This is the totally different thing, EC time off, in which we will capture the holiday calendars, work schedule, time profile, recording profile. These all things we can capture later on. I'll explain you onto the EC time off. Okay. Now, again, on to come on to the PPT. Just give